Hi, my name is Renee and I head up Science and Artificial Intelligence here at InsideTracker. And today I'm going to talk to you about our AI platform. So we actually use two types of artificial intelligence. The first is machine learning and the second is expert reasoning. Machine learning is something that you've probably heard a lot about in the media, and it's the type of AI that is, for example, used to select potential movie recommendations for you. The second type of AI, expert reasoning, is the type of AI that truly teaches a computer how to think like a human, and in particular, a human with very specific domain expertise. And what I mean by that is somebody who might be a dietitian or a nutritionist or an exercise physiologist or a neurologist or an aging researcher, really any of the myriad individuals that we draw upon to help evaluate which types of lifestyle interventions might make sense for you to take in order to optimize your health span. So if you're not familiar with the term health span, it refers to the number of years where you are generally in good health, whereby you have the stamina to enjoy your family and your friends and your hobbies. And stamina can be thought of as physical, like maintaining your mobility or endurance, but it can also mean having the mental energy to just like slay your buddies in a Monster Bridge game when you're 95. So we think really broadly about this. And here our goal is to help individuals increase their health span and optimize their health span. And we do that by combining data about your personalized health state and where you are from a health perspective at a given point in time, together with knowledge that's been gained from thousands of peer-reviewed scientific publications. And then all of that is then filtered through the lens of these experts that have expertise in nutrition or physiology, etc., in order to make recommendations and insights that are specific to you. This is exactly what the expert reasoning engine does. It stores all of that knowledge that you can get from those scientific papers in a way that the computer can read and understand. And it also stores the collective intelligence of that staff of experts has to interpret all of those papers and to do so within the context of your specific data. So the outcome here is the recommendations and insights that are automatically generated for you in less than a second, but it actually took over a century in person years to program the machine or the engine to actually do that. And that's not even counting all of the time spent running clinical trials that were reported in the papers that we put into the recommendation engine, or the education and experience that the experts had to become experts. But it's pretty wild to think about actually harnessing all of that kind of collective knowledge and intelligence and thinking in one place. And that's what we are layering your data on top of in order to interpret it. So in order to establish your health state, we do that by taking various measurements and specifically looking at different biomarkers in your blood and DNA, as well as data that can be captured from wearable devices like fitness trackers. Additionally, we will ask survey questions, and we ask these because you can answer them and you are the expert on you. But knowing where you are really helps both you and us identify and prioritize areas of focus. So I'll give an example. We know that individuals that are chronically stressed are more vulnerable to heart disease. So this means that we have an opportunity. You can't take action to mitigate stress if you don't know that you are stressed. And you might know that you are stressed. Actually, that's pretty reasonable. You can really feel stress, but there also might be other objective measures of physiological stress that we can take that you might not feel or be as aware of. That we can use to help us figure out where you are. And once we have this information, the next question really is like, okay, well, what do I do about it? What actions can I take that have been actually shown to work, that are based on hard, concrete evidence and not feelings or anecdotal reports? And what has been shown in actual people and not just mice or petri dishes, which have their place in research, but they're not the same thing as a human. And most specifically, how do you find out what's worked for other people that are in a situation just like you? So, for example, maybe they are in your age range or have a similar biomarker profile. So I did a search for scientific publications about the connection between stress and heart disease risk, and over 900 different scientific papers were returned. And most of us don't have the time or the years of education or the desire to sift through that much material to figure out exactly what you should do about your chronic stress situation. But that's exactly what the experts here have done, so you don't have to. First, within those 900 different papers, they might look for those that actually offer lifestyle-based recommendations rather than, say, a drug. One example of this might be looking at mindfulness training as a way to manage stress. And, that's awesome. But of course, scientific research is never black and white. So the experts will then go ahead and weigh the evidence for, let's say, mindfulness training to mitigate chronic stress and decide if there's enough evidence for us to feel confident that we can actually recommend it to our users. So there might be, let's say, 10 studies that say it's effective and 10 studies that say it's not effective. When this is the case, we always take a deeper look into the studies. Maybe some of them were done in very small populations and some of them were done in larger populations, so therefore we might have more confidence. It might be that some of the studies were only done in men, but we really want to be able to make recommendations for those who identify as women. Or possibly it's comparing different types of mindfulness training, and we have to determine whether they're comparable or not. But what the expert does is they read all of that, they interpret all of it. It can take weeks to do this, and they come to some conclusions, and then they actually bring those conclusions and present it to a larger group of experts, and that we all have to weigh in at that point and decide if it is okay and if there really is enough evidence that we can really recommend this to an individual. So that's the bar that it has to pass in order to be a recommendation. And one of the things that I think about oftentimes if I'm looking at the platform is what you see there is just as important as what you don't see. I think about all of the recommendations that actually are not being made because they didn't meet stringent criteria. And that's wonderful. I think it's actually really great because our job here is to help you cut through the clutter. And I really identify the absolute best actions for you to take in order to increase your health span.